You're crazy, man. You're crazy. I like you, but you're crazy.
Hi everybody, Jake, your resident content cowboy here. Yeehaw! And in this video, you are going to get count 'em five, that's right, 5 solo queue tips from one of the masters at this game, Chris Heroes. I hope you enjoy it. He's an incredible player, and I really do think some of these tips can elevate your game. If you were to be able to just give a couple general tips to people hopping into solo queue, what would those be?
I guess the main ones would be prioritizing farm. Always, if there's yellow dots on your side of the map, you take them. Take yellow dots on your minimap.
Yeah, you're Pac-Man, you need to eat those dots, absolutely, okay.
I think one of the most important things is how you use your Unite move. Because there's two different things you can use your Unite move at, either objectives or comeback experience. So, when I'm very far behind in a game, I don't care about objectives, I'm just gonna ult. Like, if I know the enemy biggest carry doesn't have his Unite move up, I would just throw myself at him, Unite move in, and people can't only one United move Pokemon, right? The stat bonus is just way too much. And using your Unite move is smart is very important, and there's so many players in solo queue that use their Unite move 30 seconds before Zapdos.
Oh.
A crazy amount. And it's just one of the worst things you can do. Always make sure you have your Unite move on Zapdos up. Always. That's probably one of the biggest mistakes I see people do.
I agree 1,000,000,000%. Is for some reason the Blastoise on your team throws their Unite at like 2:30 and you're thinking, why would you ever do this?
It's a meme at my stream at this point. It's every single time a weekly tough.
Oh, really?
It's always doesn't matter if it's my team or the enemy team. It's always a weekly tough who ults the minute before Zapdos, like in somewhere that 3 to 2 minutes. It's always a weekly tough.
It's crazy it's so too hilarious. Because they have probably the most team fight specific Unite in the entire game, and they throw it in that moment. But of course, I see it all the time. One of my favorite things to do later in the game is trying to bait Unites out of people before Zap, because if you just see them throw those Unites, you're like, oh yes, you guys are going to be in so much trouble in about 40 seconds here. Great.
You should do that sometimes as well. That's actually a great thing to say. Like 40 seconds before Zapdos spawns, I sometimes just throw myself at someone I know already did questionable things this entire game, and he's just gonna ult me. It's actually quite fun.
You know what's one of my favorite things about talking to you is hearing how much you are using almost a little bit of the poker mentality. I used to play cards for a while, and it's the play the player, not the game. You spend a lot of your time thinking, ooh, that Cinderace has been making bad decisions all game. I'm going to get him to make another bad decision. I really love that.
Yeah. I think that's how you... It's like every game is feel like it's just which team does the most mistakes is going to lose, right? So... But you have to use those mistakes the opponents do to your advantage as much as possible. And people always are like, my team does so many mistakes. Your opponents do. Just use them. You have to use them as much as you can.
That's so true. There are just as many people on the opposing team doing awfully dumb things as well. Very, very true. I took a look at one of your tier lists earlier. I think the one you posted a few days ago. And I really like how you split it up between sort of the best Pokemon for lane, best Pokemon for jungle, best Pokemon for coordinated teams, because it is very different. Like there are some Pokemon that I think you can't really play solo very well at all, and you actually had a whole category for that, which I loved. And there are others that work really well coordinated, but would definitely be someone you'd stay away from solo. For someone who's maybe, let's say, climbing their way through the game, getting better and better, what are a few Pokemon that you think right now are just great choices for solo queue players?
So I think the best Pokemon is probably right now Jungle Dragonite, but Jungle specifically. I think Lane Dragonite is not that great. Jungle Dragonite has so much control over the entire game, with him just being able to get every single objective if he wants to. And besides that, I think Venusaur works in both very well. For Jungle, you can go Greninja, Talonflame, those are very insane picks still. And for laning phase, I think the best ones are something like Mr. Mime. People that just pressure early game very hard, have good last hitting potential. Personally, my favorite is currently Absol still, which is like weird. No one ever thought lane Absol. Yeah, that's something that will carry me through solo queue, but it absolutely does. It has such early game power spikes, early game damage, and the reason why I like playing it in lane over jungle is as well because I just get to stay in those lanes. I don't need to go back to farm my jungle. Of course, if I was like a duo queue and I could be like, oh, take my jungle now, I want to stay in lane, doesn't really work, right?
Right.
So I want to stay in those lanes and keep killing people over and over again. I don't want to go back to my jungle and farm. And Upso is just very good at abusing that early game power spikes Upso has. Besides that, lane for lane, Venusaur is also obviously great still. Ninetales, I think, has good potential for lane. Same for Pikachu right now. Pikachu can ult almost every single minute. It is very, very strong. But it always just depends also who you lane with. Like when I play Pikachu, like Pikachu's S tier if you play with the Snorlax, Mr. Mime, Wigglytuff in lane. But as soon as you play with a Cinderace, a Greninja, it feels absolutely awful playing Pikachu half the time.
Yeah.
Because you have just no lane partner that pressures with you. So like Pikachu's entire early game just fades away, pretty much.
I know there are a lot of different item choices in Pokemon Unite that people swear by, but I've found that there are a few that seem very solid for most every character. I'm curious if there are some that in solo queue specifically you find priority over others. For instance, maybe on a character on your coordinated team, you wouldn't run a focus band, but in solo queue, your thought process is, well, no, I care much more about staying alive and influencing the game, so I run a focus band on this person. Are there any situations like that you can think of item-wise?
I would for sure see myself running more Score Sheet in solo queue. I think Score Sheet is an insane item in solo queue, especially on strong split pushers. I sadly can't run it. I wish I could run it on Absol, which I sadly can't. But when I used to play a lot of Greedent, Blastoise, or just anything, I always went Score Sheet and especially on Blastoise, I think not a lot of people don't play Score Sheet on. He was really good at split pushing at a time ago. But a Score Sheet is just one of the best solo queue items for almost any melee. Like Talonflame is absolutely insane with it, especially in solo queue as well. Buddy Barrier, Score Sheet, Talonflame. You can secure 50 caps without any issues by just using your ultimate and having it up 50 seconds later again. So yeah, Score Sheet for sure, even though sadly you can't play it on range characters. I wish you could. Besides that, I don't think so. While I for sure play a bit less focus band sometimes. Like in competitive, I choose more focus bands, while in solo queue I choose more damage items.
Interesting. So
solo
yeah,
queue, I played like Energy Amp on Pikachu over focus band, and Choice Specs or Ninetales over focus band in solo queue.
Okay, cool. So that's
to have that. Yeah.
That's actually maybe a little counterintuitive to what I, or maybe some people would think, is that you're thinking, no, actually, I'm just going to be way more carry focused, way more damage focused, drop something like a focus band, but you would use it more competitively. That's really cool. And then, yeah, of course, Score Shield is just, on some characters, it's absolutely unbelievable. For players that are new to MOBAs maybe, or even are not that new to MOBAs and they're just getting better at Unite, what are some tips you could give someone to have sort of the game sense of a seasoned professional player like you? Like if you were to give a few bullet points of what you think a lot of players are missing, what do you think that would be?
I think it's very important to think what your opponents want to do as well, and then just playing around what they want to do. Like if you were that Snorlax on the enemy team, what would you do? And then just, counterplaying what he would do, or thinking about it and being ready for it, what he wants to do. I think that's very important. And it's just, when there's downtime, look around. Whenever you have downtime, look at your minimap and look around on your camera. Like I'm a person that moves my camera around a lot. And that's a general tip I would give to anyone. Learn how to use your camera more often. Very, very important to just look around and always scout for information you can use for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very important. The mini map, I feel like no one pays attention to it because there are times where you realize, like, wow, boy, you're way out there and you can't see a single enemy. they could be right next to us. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
There's one more thing. The most important thing in solo queue.
Yes.
One more thing. The most important thing is down tilt. Down tilt. I know I also sound sometimes very annoyed, but it doesn't matter how bad a game looks. I always try my hardest to still win it. Like, there's so many games where if I was tilted or was a tilted player, I would have lost so many more games than I would win, just because I stopped trying long ago. It's very, very important to just not... I know it's very easy to say don't tilt, but tilt is one of the most things why people will lose more games than they should win. Yeah. So many games in Unite are still winnable and can be won if you just, just fit out your teammates and just do your own thing, and you can still win many more games than you think of.
Man, you are preaching to the choir, Chris, because I must have made 10 videos called "Stop Surrendering," like please, like just play the match out. I know it can get frustrating. I know that people are double jungling on your team. I get all the things that are happening, but yeah, this game has so many catch-up mechanics. There are so many ways to still win it. Just don't be one of the players who gives up. Keep fighting, and also, I try to play in a way where I just think, a lot of this is out of my control. All I can do is play the best game I can play. And at the end of the day, win or lose, I can't just I can't sit and stew over it or get frustrated. It's just a game. You're not going to win them all. Yeah. Don't tilt is very, very important. I totally agree with you.
Don't is very important, yes.
It really is. I think some people get really upset.
A lot of mental. Solo queues have a lot of mental and having a good mental towards it.
Yeah.
100%.
Awesome, man.
If you're someone that tilts easily, take a break as well. Take a few, maybe even take a day break if you notice you lost 3 games in a row and you're tilted. Just taking breaks can be very healthy for that as well. Don't keep forcing it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Chris, what are some of the best places to find your content out there?
Well, you can find me on Twitch at Chris Heroes and the same on YouTube at Chris Heroes. And the Chris is wrote without an H. A lot of people probably mistyped that. So yeah, you can find me on Twitch, on YouTube. I pretty much stream every single day and upload something every day as well. And yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate you taking the time. You're truly just one of the best players that I watch in this game. I feel like I get a lot from watching your streams, and I always think I love it when I am playing a strategy. Especially, this is just something that happened to me recently with Dragonite, where I'm playing Dragonite with Hyper Beam, and I get people coming into chats or whatever, and they're like, outrageous the build and all this stuff. And then I go and I watch a player like you, and I'm like, see, I knew I was right. One of the good players is using my build. So thanks, man. I really appreciate everything you do, and I wish you continued success.